Hello everyone, welcome back to the Coding Explorer. This is Pradyumna and let us continue our exploration on the world of software. Before we begin, I hope that you watched my last video about classes and inheritance in Python. So, I hope that you've done the homework that I'd given. So, let me give the answer on how to do that. So, now what we have to do is create a new class. So, I'll name it as car.py. So after creating that, as usual, we are gonna do the same thing as we did over here. We are gonna create our own class. Then we're gonna create different functions and this init method and different variables. So let us begin. So we need not import the time library for now. So class car. So let us begin. So we'll first we'll just have the init function. So we have to take different things. So first we take the top speed, and we also set the speed of the car at the beginning to be 0, because when you're just starting you don't have any specific speed. So you give the top speed, then you give the brand name. So we are gonna store all this. So let us start. We have to store this self dot, so let me just copy, self dot top speed is equal to top speed, then self dot brand name is equal to the brand name. So whatever you give the brand name and the top speed, it will store over here. So now let us begin. So first what we'll do is we'll create a function called apply brakes. So here we do not take anything from the user, so we'll just apply the brake, which is if the brake is applied, speed will be 0. Of course, we'll create another function called accelerate. So speed, if the car has been accelerated, the speed will not be same. So here speed will become 0. Now again we give def apply. We are gonna give accelerate. Now again we give self. After self we give speed. So after that, now what we are gonna do is we are gonna check if speed, here also actually here it should be self dot speed, as you're referring to the speed of this class. So we are gonna make this, instead of making it will lead to confusion. So speed to accelerate. So after doing that, we'll give if self, we are gonna add the speed, self dot speed, that is whatever is the speed that is there at that moment, plus speed to accelerate. So if it has to be less than a top speed, because you cannot accelerate it, the car above the top speed. So we are gonna check if this is less than or equal to self dot top speed, self dot top speed. So only if this is true, we are gonna make self dot speed, that is the speed that is there, to the the amount by which it should be accelerated, plus the original speed that is there. So this will increase this speed and it will change this. So this is how you're gonna do it. So let us create a file to execute this. So I'll name it as the main homework. So first we have to import the class car from the file. So you from car import car, because this car class is found in this car file. So now let us create a first instance of the car1 is equal to car of. So first we have to give the top speed, so I'll just give it as 150, and then we need to give the brand name, so I'll just name it as Audi. So it'll be different from the Audi class we're going to create now. So let us just check how this works. So car1 dot accelerate, so we accelerate this. We can accelerate it by 50 at first, so then again we're gonna accelerate it. So we can also make sure that here we tell the user that we cannot accelerate above that speed. So let us just give else print cannot accelerate. So after we do that, so here if we give it car1 dot accelerate by 150, so what will happen over here, the car will be at first at 0, then it will increase by 50, so it will become 50 top speed. Then after that we again the speed will be 50. So if we again try to increase it by 150, it will say not possible, as the max speed possible is itself is 120. 200 is not possible. So we can also show the speed to the user. We can say speed is plus car, we have to convert this into a string, so string of car1. So we're gonna take the speed from car1. So let us just run and check how it works. Speed is 50, so it's telling cannot accelerate. So now let us try to create the Audi class that we wanted to create. So new Python file Audi car. So again here I'll just give class Audi car, but since this is related to car class, we're gonna give it as car. We're gonna construct this, we're gonna use this constructor, and we're gonna inherit the car class. That is because anyway all the properties will be over here, and we have to also import this file, because import the class, because we want to use it. So from car import car. So now it's not a problem. So again here we have to first initialize it. So self, so here we don't take anything from the user, because the brand name will be Audi car, and top speed we'll set it on our own, and we'll set that to be top. We can set that over here. So give super dot init. So first we need to give the top speed, so we'll just set it at 200. Brand name, as we know, it should be Audi. So everything else will be handled by the class that we've already created. So again let us just try how it will work. So let us first import from Audi car import Audi car. So we import it. Now let us create another car2 is equal to car of. So we give Audi car of, Audi car. Again we don't give anything to the user. Now car2 dot accelerate. So here let us just try to give 45. Now we'll again print the speed. So car, here it is car2.speed, and then let us try to now apply the brakes in this car. Let us see it will work. Let us again print the speed. Now let us check how it works. So you can see that the first car is now first it gives its speed, it increases 50. Then since we again had the scene that it does not accelerate, after that we create this class, it accelerates, so its speed becomes 45. We apply brakes, the speed becomes 0. So this is how you create real models in any programming language using classes. So let us begin with our today's class. We are going to learn about reading and writing files. So just think you're working on a project in which you store the user's data. Here, each time you run the program, you have to give the data, you have to take the data from the user. So what you do, instead of that, you store the data forever in the memory storage. So these memory storage are nothing but files. So you store this data in the file. Let us understand how to do this in Python. So the syntax to do it is variable. So what we do over here is first we tell the computer which file we're gonna edit, or what you do is you give the variable and then you tell which file you're gonna edit or read, and then after that you perform the different functions on it, like reading or writing. So let us understand how to do that. So you give a variable, you can give file or any other names. So then you tell open, so then you're giving the file name. If the file name is in the same directory as your Python Python code is there, then you just need to give the name. So if it's like next to in the directory as the same it is, you give example.txt. If it's in a different folder, then you'll have to give the whole path along with the file name, and then you're gonna give the access mode. So the access mode basically tells the computer if you're reading or writing the files. So there are different types of access mode. So you give in a string that tells the computer. So let us understand those access modes. So it can be R, W or A. So R is used when you want to read the file. It raises an exception that if the file does not exist, if the file is not there. And then comes W. Here if you want to write something to a file, so when we want to write something to a file, if it already contains some information or any data that is there, it gets deleted, and the new information that you give is the only thing that will be stored. So if the file does not exist, it will create the file. And then comes A. Here if you give the text that you want to add, it just adds the text at the bottom, that is at the last of the whole file. It does not delete the content that is already there. So it also creates the file if it does not exist. So what do we do if we have an error, that is like if it occurs in this R mode, if the file does not exist? It would be better to do something that could handle it. So let us understand about try and except blocks. So if you are having an error during the execution, the Python is an interpreter, so it will stop the whole program as soon as you find an error. To make sure that it doesn't stop, so that the user does not have to face any problems, what you do is we make sure that if any error occurs, you tell the computer to do something, and then it makes sure that there are no problems. So the syntax for it is, we give try. Here in the try, we give the code that is supposed to be executed, and then we give except. So if while running this code, if any error occurs, only then the code that is there in this except block will run. So if there's no error in this, it will never come to this except block. So now we'll be creating a program to understand all these things in depth. So we'll create a program in which the first time when you're running the program, it takes all your details such as your name, then it takes a number, and then it takes your city. After that, when you run the program again, it would have stored all the data in a file, and that data is printed to you. So it gives your name, it gives your number that you have given, and the city that you have given. So we're gonna use a try and except block, where because if you run the program and the file does not exist, it'll go over here. If it exists, it'll come over here. So let us begin. I'll create a new project. I'll just name it as class 10 files. So what we are going to do over here is that we first create a class called user details. So instead of storing the whole data as different files in different variables, we can make a class that stores all these details in a single class. So let's just create it. So we give user details. So this will be the class that we create. We can create it over here only, as it won't be big. So then we give def init as usual. So here what we'll do is we're gonna take the name of the user, then we're gonna take the number of the user, and then the city of the user. So you're gonna take all these things and then store it. So when we are executing and running the program, we can just give user details dot name dot number, and we can easily use it. After taking this information, we have to store it. So we give self dot name is equal to name, self dot number is equal to number, self dot city is equal to city. So what we are going to do is we create a new class which will store all these details in together. So instead of creating different variables, we can bind all these data together. What we'll do is first we'll use a try block, because if the program is running for the first time, then it will not work, as the as the file will not be created and it will give an error. So we give try, we refer to the file, so I'll name it as user file is equal to open. So we give the file. Since that file will be there in the same folder as this, so I'll just give user details dot py txt. We are gonna use a txt file because this is the file that stores all the text data, and then we give the type of data we're gonna give, type of access mode. So we give R, and then if there is any error, so we give except. So then what we do is user file is equal to open of user details dot txt. So instead of this, what we can do, instead of giving the name so many times, we can just store this in a variable. So user file name is equal to, so if we give this, we can automatically use it anywhere we want. So user file name, here also we can give user file name. So what we do here is give w. So since this happens, it will automatically create this file. So here you can give user file c so that it gets created. So what we're going to do now, since the user is running for the first time, we take all the details from the user. So first we'll just create an instance of this class user details is equal to, we're gonna create an instant. So user details is equal to user details of, so we need to give the name. For now we'll keep all of this in a single quote. This all will be empty Afterwards, as we take the input from the user, we're going to store these details. So first what we're going to do is we're going to take the details. So what we're going to give is user details dot name is equal to input of, so we take the input from the user, asking him what is your name, what is your name. So whatever the user gives, it will be stored over here. Again we'll give user details dot number is equal to input, what is your number. Again user details dot city is equal to input of what is your city name. So we take all this information and store this in this class, or the instance of this class, that is this object. And then after this we have to also store this data in the user the file that we have created now. So what we give is user file c dot we have to write, so we give write, and then we give what all we have to write. So we give user details, first the name will come. So here what we are going to do is we are going to store all of these information in different lines. So if you remember, if you had to store this things in, go to the next line, you had to use /n. So this is applicable even to the text files. So you give user details.name /n, it goes to the next line. Again you give the user details.number, so you have to put pluses between them, user details.number plus /n again, and then you give plus user details dot city. So you store all this information in this file. Now after storing all the details, you can just say print thank you. So if the user is running this for the first time, this will be a problem. So we'll just end the we have to make sure that this program ends. So what we give is we create a variable called first time is equal to false. So we make it false here, since the user is we know it there's an exception and he's running this for the first time. We do user the first time variable as true. So then what we are going to do is, if the user is running this program after he has already done it, we are going to check if not first time. So if he's not running this program for the first time, it will be false, and here will become true, so this will run. So if it's not first time, then we have to again use the user file that is there. So we are going to give user file dot read. Now we have to store this in a variable, because after reading we'll store it. So we'll give user string is equal to user file dot read. Now we also need to create an instance, because the instance that is created of the user details over here, it can only be used in this except block, and this code will also not run. So what we are going to do is, again we give user details is equal to the same thing that is here. Now what we are going to do is, after reading this file, we have to store all these details in this user details. So let us understand how the structure of it, the data will be there. So I'll be creating comments. So comments are nothing but this is what is written in this program, but then they're not actually executed. So if you want to use a comments in Python, you have to put 3 quotes when you're giving multi-line comment. But if you're giving a single line comment, you just put an slash symbol and you can write it. So since I'm making multiple lines, I just give it over here. So the first name, you'll have the name, and then what you'll have after the next line, you'll have the number, and then you'll have the city. So what will happen here is that if you give user string dot is equal to user file dot read, it will give what is the name, and then after that you'll have a slash n, and then the number, again slash n, and the city. So what we do is we create a list in which you have number, name, number, and city in comma separated. So we are gonna learn about splitting, which is just a function which is used to get all the required data from the string that is there. So we give user list is equal to the user string that we have dot split. So we are gonna split this, and then what we're gonna do is we give slash n. So since we have name, whenever there it splits all of these, so name slash n, so whatever is there, it gets splitted into name, number, and city. So whatever you give over here, it splits according to that. So after splitting, you'll have this user list. Now what we do is user details is equal to user list of 0. So this will be user details dot name, because at the first this thing you'll have the name, then after that you'll have the number. So you give name, then number, the number will be at 1, and then the last, which is the city, and this will be at the 2. So after this, what we do is print all of these details. So print, so name, we can give add the user details dot name, we can just join that. Then again we give print number is plus user details dot number, print city plus user details dot city. So when the user is not running for the first time, you read all the data that is there, you create an instance called user details of the user details class, and then you give user list, that is you split all of these using slash n. So instead of name slash n number slash n city, it will be name comma the number comma the city. So it will be like this. The list will be name comma number comma city. So since it get all of these will get split, so this will be in the format of this. And after you get this, what you do is you take the first, which is the name, and you store it in user details.name. In the number, you store user details.1, the number. Then this second, with the third that is there will be 2 is city, user details.city. Then you print all the details of the user. So let us try to run it. So you can see that there was an error, and this is going over here, and then it's asking my name now. So I just give my name. What is the number? I'll just give the number, and then city. So if you give this, it will say thank you, and it will stop. So if you go to your directory, so here you can see that you have a user details.txt file. If you open, you can see whatever we gave over here, is now being stored here. Now instead of this, now let us run the program again. Let's see if it works, if the file is already there. So see, you can see that it takes in all of this, and since it's stored, it does not get an error. So it comes over here. Since it's not the first time you're running, it gives user, it takes all this, and then after that it gives you whatever data you have stored. So this is how you use files and how to access and modify them. So if you have any doubts, you can always put it in the comment section. I'll always answer, and you can also check to the GitHub if you have any problem. So before you leave, let me tell you that all the code that we did today is put up in GitHub. So I've provided the link to this repository in the description. So you come here, click on class 10 files. Here you'll find all the data, all the code. So if you have any doubt or if there is a problem, you can just come and refer to here if you want. So let me give you the homework. So you're supposed to create an app that stores and gives thoughts. So you should create a while loop in which it keeps asking for thoughts, and when the user types read, it should give all the thoughts that are there. So it should be instead of writing, it should be appending. So all the thoughts that are given should be appended. So I'll just give a clue on how to do that. Here, instead of using the access method as w, you're supposed to give a, and then the dot write and everything will be same. If you give dot write, even if it's dot write, since the access method is a, it will automatically append it. So all the codes that are there should be in different lines, and whenever the user gives read, you have to check if the thought or anything that's input that is given is read, and then you have to read all that and then print it. If it's not read, then you have to store that thing in the file. Congratulations, you just finished learning all the basics Python concepts. This is a large step towards learning Python, and as you go further, we are gonna learn about how to use GUI and then about machine learning, which is a very interesting concept, and you're just gonna love Python. So in the next class, we are gonna create a project in which we sum up all the things that we have done, and after that we begin with the next, which is GUI in Python using Takinter, which will be in a different playlist. So thank you everyone. Please learn, like, subscribe and share. And if you have any doubts, please put it in the comment section. I'll answer as fast as possible. And click on the bell button for my next videos. And as I said, we are gonna learn about GUI in Python. And we're gonna create a project that sums up all the concepts that we have learned from the beginning.